So if you've been here before, you may be aware that I am building a bit of a crown collection. So far I have 7 if we include the weird ones. And even though I am slightly running out of space to keep all of these, I have still come to one very simple conclusion. I need more of them. I've literally just started the day and my camera battery's already gonna die and I didn't charge my other one. Why? Let's make this really quick. This week I have decided to try and tackle the Pearl Tiara of Empress Eugenie, who was the wife of Napoleon. This piece is absolutely gorgeous and I really hope I can pull it off because I really want this one in my collection. Can you guess how many pearls and how many diamonds are actually in this piece? Because I have the number, so take a guess in the comments and I will give you a minute before I tell you the answer while I sip my hot chocolate. It has 212 pearls and 1,998 diamonds. That is so many diamonds. My replica will not be that precise. I wonder if I counted some of my old pieces, how many would actually be in there. I'm definitely not going to do that, but I wonder. I also gotta say, knowing that there's 212 pearls in this tiara, I'm suddenly really wondering if I bought enough pearls, because I don't know, I didn't think they looked like there were that many in it, but now I'm concerned. So I guess on that note, let's go look at our materials. I wouldn't be able to make this pearl tiara without an assortment of pearls. These teardrop ones are left over from my first lover's knot tiara, and I will be using them across the top and in between the diamond structures of the tiara. And then of course I have some standard spherical ones in a bunch of different sizes to fill in the rest. As used in previous projects, I have 3mm and 2mm chain stones to cover the main structure, and then a variety of sizes of individual threadable glass stones to build up the diamond decorations. Finally, I'll also be using a 0.8mm silver-plated wire to build the main structure and a 0.3mm wire to thread all of the pieces together, with the addition of E6000 plus glue and super glue to help me where wire wrapping cannot. So the first thing I noticed, the basic shape of it is a far more curved shape than some of the others that I've made. Oh, why did I put so many pins in this thing? So unlike with previous headpieces, I'm not going to be using a plain silver headband as the base. I'm going to actually be sculpting it myself to try and get that same curve that it's got in the actual thing. I'm going to hopefully find a picture that demonstrates this because I'm not explaining it very well. I'm also feeling a little flustered because my camera battery is flashing red at me. I've charged nothing. I am going to use the 0.8mm wire for this, but ideally it would be nicer to have something a little bit thicker. I haven't even gotten any cutters out. That battery died while I was grabbing all of these tools. So I've switched it to the other battery, which was on charge for a total of 10 minutes. And it's not flashing red anymore, but it is on the last little bar. So now I'm wondering, how long can I keep this up of just constantly switching the batteries out every 10 minutes to try and film today? Another good thing is that this little foam head is actually the size of my head, so I don't have to worry about measurements. Kind of shapes, and then it kind of curves up at the back. Did nothing. I think I need some more clear reference pictures and a thicker wire. Empress Eugenie's tiara. I attempted to make the wire a little bit sturdier by twisting 2 strands together, which I have never once successfully completed without injury. Using the foam head and some wig pins, I slowly started to shape the base, but it really was not working. Decided to use one of the headbands after all, because this is still going to be quite flimsy even with the wire twisted, and I don't trust that that's gonna work to build the whole project up. I did consider even just making it all, and even though the crown would be quite flexible, I could just add some thicker wire to the inside at a later date to make it more sturdy. It seemed like it was just going to make my life harder for the actual build. So I'm sticking with the tried and true headband method instead. I was a bit unsure where to start, but I feel like the most logical place is going to be making some spikes to go upwards from the base, because I was thinking of making like the U shapes to sit all of the pearls in, and then I thought all of the teardrop pearls are going to be on spikes going through because there's like a column of pearls that sits on all of those. So it makes sense to create those spikes for those pearls to sit on first, and then I have something to attach the U shapes to when I build those, which basically means I'm starting in the exact same way I start every other crown project. I had to switch the batteries over again. This time it's on 2 bars. This method is working. At some point it will come out fully charged. In terms of heights, I feel like this design feels more like the height of the Lover's Knot one. It's about 7 centimeters tall. I proceeded to make a bunch of square U shapes, each 7 centimeters tall by about 2.5 centimeters wide, which was a complete guess, by the way. I usually calculate the exact width I need for the structure, but this time I just went on vibes for some reason. Once all of these shapes are fixed on, it will create the spikes to support the structure of the crown. So at this point, I'm just taking each of these little horseshoes and then putting them onto the base. And then just using the small thread-like wire to just wrap them all in. It's very easy, but a little bit time-consuming of a step. And you can see how you're starting to get that skeleton structure. And I've also just placed the purple gem here to mark where the center point is again because it's so easy to lose track of. And obviously once I'm finished with this, each of the spikes will have 2 spikes in place instead of 1, so I just go through and cut 1 off on each little horseshoe. And granted, you could just make little L shapes to begin with, but I find that this way is better because that way they can't just slide out because I'll have a little bit on the bottom that kind of hooks in. I'm not saying it's the best method, I'm just saying it's my method and I found that it works. Also, fair warning, these will ping across the room when you cut them, and I do not recommend having open drinks in the vicinity when you do it. Learned that one the hard way. I wasn't really attaching anything on yet, but I did start to place some of the stones and pearls so that I could visualize the piece and figure out what my next steps needed to be. I'm definitely noticing that my pearls are too big, because there's going to be one that sits in the center, and then this needs to go somewhere like that. And then it still needs to have all of the gems going around it as well. The bigger pearl size is definitely becoming a little bit of an obstacle. And that is because when I bought these materials, I think I might have been planning on reducing the number of sets of the design going around it, which is why the pearls are a little bigger. But now that I've actually made it, I've tried to make it as a more exact replica with the right number of teardrops going around the top and therefore the same number of U shapes going through it. But it's kind of squished the design together quite tightly to fit them all on. And I feel like that's where the issue is coming in a little bit. Probably also because I'm making it off the headband, so I'm going off the size of the headband rather than making my own shape, which I imagine would probably come a little bit further down. This took a while to make. I just need to make 7 more of them now. These are actually a pretty simple process. I started by threading some pearls onto a piece of 0.8mm wire, twisted the ends so that the pearls can't fall off, and then bent it into a curve. Then for the outer piece, I wire wrapped some chainstone onto a piece of longer wire and then bent that around the shape of the pearl piece to frame it. I then threaded these onto the main structure using the threadable stones in between them all as an anchoring point. So ignore the fact that I'm in my dressing gown. I'm not actually here today. I'm just popping on for like a minute to give you an update. So I haven't really worked on this in about 5 days because I hit some issues. They're not really balancing very well because the pearls are the wrong size, and it's mainly these ones that are the problem because they're too big, but I don't have any smaller ones of that. I do, however, have smaller ones of this one. I have made the decision that I'm going to take all of this apart so I can replace these pearls with a size down in the hopes it will make the balance work a little bit better for the overall design. And that's what I'm going to spend today doing, is essentially just taking that apart and then building it back up again. And then tomorrow we will join back together to work properly on it. But yeah, I'm not really here today. I'm just updating you. Good morning! The tiara is fixed. It is looking so much more well-balanced than it did with the larger pearls. So I think it's on a much better path than it was before. However, this one is so hard to figure out. I'm actually really struggling with it. I'm now at a point where I'm trying to figure out the inner design of each of the U shapes. In the actual one, it's like this little cupping leaf, only I'm kind of struggling to replicate that with just the gems that I've got. And I've made like a little mock-up version of what I could do, and I will show you a close-up of that. But it's not particularly looking great. It kind of just feels like it just blends in too much. It doesn't stand out as its own piece being added on. Looking at that, I might as well have just continued what I did on the outer bands. It's not really adding anything. And I kind of feel like the only other way I can go is to go my glue gem cluster route and actually build my own shape with some really, really little gems. And I don't know how successful that would actually be because I've never made a shape that's actually that thin before. It's usually actual clusters that I make with those. But I don't want to just automatically give up and settle for this. I'm gonna make a trial one and see if I can get it to work. And if it does work, then great, I will make a whole bunch more for the entire ground. But if it doesn't work, then I will just settle for this because I don't think I can really figure out anything else. I think in an ideal world, maybe some filigree pieces would be quite useful because you can cut out the shapes that you want and glue some gems on top of those. But I don't have anything like that, and I don't think ordering anything like that now would actually get here in a decent amount of time for this video. I should have thought of that sooner. 'Tis a complicated piece. Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to be a lot of trial and error, but eventually there will be a crown. Glue Gem Clustering 101. Study your shape. Prepare your required stones. Use a base wire if necessary. Glue onto a surface that it can definitely peel up from. And finally, use some tweezers to carefully lay out your design. It's very therapeutic and I highly recommend it. And when it's done, you do unfortunately have to wait a full 24 hours for it to dry.
Tomorrow.
This little test piece is actually perfect. It's really adorable, but more importantly, it's like flexible because I can bend it right in and then bend it out so that way I can fit it around the different size pearls, which is awesome. I just need to make about 9 more of these now. Time for a wee update. All of these are now drying and setting in the glue, so they should be ready tomorrow. I made a start on the pearls that sit on the top of the crown that have a little like cup of diamonds going around. And for these, just having the plain diamonds didn't quite look right, so I decided to do one where I glued some extra mini stones on it, and I think that looks as close to that shape as I will possibly get it. I've started making these little sassy leaf shapes, which I pretty much just need to do the same method that I used for these ones. So I will check back in when that is done. We are making progress. All of the little pieces are slowly coming together and looking really cute. I'm just having to let everything dry before I can touch it. This morning I did all of the Pearl teardrop gluing, so those are just setting now. And as I had the glue out, I then decided to start some of the little bottom row clusters. So I started a little bundle of those and I thought, I have no idea how many of these I need to make. So then I just made a whole bunch and I'm hoping that that's going to be enough. And for the bottom row as well, I've also constructed this little band of wire that I've already started to thread some pearls through it. I have to wait until those clusters are dry because once those clusters have dried off, I can then thread a pearl, glue on a cluster, thread on another pearl, glue on a cluster, keep doing that until it creates like a complete band because this should be the same size to then attach later. Right now, the only thing that's actually dry enough for me to do anything with are the original little leaf motifs that I made first. Those are now completely set and can be attached to the main piece, which I have already attached one of them, and it's looking really, really cute. There is like a tiny little bit of exposed wire just above it because the pearl's too big to sit just in it, but I don't think that necessarily looks bad. It kind of just gives it a really nice little like thistle look, which I think is quite cute. So yeah, all of that was a very long-winded way of saying I'm now going to sit and wire wrap on all of the little motifs inside all of the U shapes to get those filled in. We will then thread in the pearls and gems that sit on top of those. And then the only other thing I can do until all of that is dry is to get the little teardrop pearls that sit in between the U shapes put in place. And that will not be an easy task to do because these teardrop beads don't have a hole going all the way through them. They just have a little hook loop on one end, but I can't thread wire through them to just sit them on nicely. I might be able to start moving on to some of the other steps, but I am kind of being held at the mercy of the glue drying time at this point. But we are so close to finishing. If I didn't have to wait for the glue to dry, we could get this done this afternoon. But I do have to wait for the glue to dry. But for now, let's just wrap on some leaves. And yes, this step was as fiddly as it looks. I even had to bust the tweezers out for some of it. We have the first little section complete-ish. Now that I'm looking at it, it kind of looks like I just put Mickey Mouse in the middle, but we're going to go ahead and ignore that. This top bit isn't on, I just kind of placed it because I realized I can just unscrew the little hooks from the teardrop pearls and then place them over the wire. So I'm going to do that with a lot of them now. And then I've just kind of created a little loop of wire there to glue this to instead. The only issue is that I do still need to put some here. I did try to use the Dremel to put a hole straight through one of the teardrop ones and it did not work. Before anybody says I should have just done that, I tried to. Didn't work. I made the very tough decision to cut the spike wires shorter and place the pearls directly on top, a move from which there is no return. I was leaving myself with no structural wire to add on my top pearls, but I took a gamble on this method paying off. And then after that, my mini clusters were dry enough to join onto the band. This tiara is absolutely wild. Like, what do you mean that this pretty much looking complete thing still has everything on the table that needs adding to it? Oh my god, this design is so extra. I can't add the little base thing that I've made on yet because that is still drying, but I can start adding on all of the final top pieces and then we'll do the base last. The little leaf ones that I took apart from the pearls already on it, those are just going to glue on. The ones that still have the little U shapes attached to them, I'm going to be wire wrapping in between each of the horseshoe shape things, which I'm hoping will actually keep them stood up because I'm a bit concerned they might end up like falling forward, but I'm sure they won't. I'm sure if I wrap it in the right way, they'll sit on fine. Or at least I really hope so, as I've already cut off the spikes. I watched the Hannah Montana anniversary special yesterday, and now I just have Hoedown Throwdown stuck in my head on repeat for eternity. Did anyone learn that dance? Like, I did not, but I have respect for anyone who did, because it looked like fun. Oh, this is gonna be cute. Pop it, lock it, oh good. I'm so glad that this worked. I have no idea what I would have done if it hadn't. Once the top pieces were on, I used the 3mm stone chain to cover the headband, which also just happens to mirror the line of stones in the original tiara. We are so almost finished. I basically only have the bottom bit to put on now, but I can't quite put it on yet because it's still slightly tacky, so I don't want to risk pulling the gems off by wire wrapping it too early. But look how cute this is. I feel like this in itself would make such a cute little headpiece. I might make another one just for me. Oh, I'm so impatient. I just want to finish it off now. And then literally less than 10 minutes later, I joined on the last piece because I'm impatient, which means that we're done. that's it, we're done. I'm just gonna put the straps back on this because I just safety pinned the dress to look like it was an off-shoulder dress, but it most definitely was not, and it was probably very obvious that it was not. We all know it was not. Anyway, the project, oh my god, this thing is awesome. It is so big and so over the top and definitely pulls at my hair. I love it so much. I think this turned out really cool. I can't believe it's finally finished because, oh my god, the headache, the brain cells. This was so hard to figure out how to do. Definitely the most complicated one I have ever made, but probably the most beautiful, to be honest. This might have actually surpassed my Queen Victoria Emerald one because, oh my god, look at it. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. Let me know what you guys think. I do want to get back into my crown making because I've left it way too long between making these, and I already know which one I want to make next, and it should be considerably easier than this one, but it's one that's been on my list for a very long time, and I finally figured out how to make it. I'm sorry, I don't even know what I was saying anymore. I keep just getting so distracted looking at it because it's so pretty. Definitely my new favourite. I really hope you guys enjoyed this project and enjoyed seeing a crown make again after so long. Feel free to leave me a comment down below telling me what your favourite crown is that I've made so far, or which ones you'd like me to make in the future, because I'm always taking suggestions. And I will see you all in my next video. Oh, I almost completely forgot to tell you, amazing news. I have my sewing machines back. Place where I took it to get repaired found out that I used them for work, and they rushed them through for me, and I just got them back after like a day. It was amazing. So yes, we are back in business. See you next time. Tiara of Prince Lele. His Empress, not a princess. I honestly don't even know what I came on to say.